Hey guys, this is Vadim with MaxTech, and today I'm going to tell you why the 2018 iPad is the best bang for the buck iPad yet. But wait, don't go and buy it just yet. I'll explain why in just a minute. First of all, it's the first and only non-Pro iPad to support the Apple Pencil. Previously, you'd have to spend at least $650 on the cheapest iPad Pro just to use the Apple Pencil. And even though the experience isn't as nice as on the iPad Pro, with its laminated display and ProMotion technology, you're still getting a lot for your money. For example, you're still getting the same great design and build quality, decent speakers, and all the other bells and whistles. It'll do basically everything you want and expect an iPad to do, for a heck of a lot less money than other iPads, even less than the iPad Mini 4. Most people want an iPad to do things like surf the web, do schoolwork, use the Apple Pencil, use apps, watch movies, play games, and basic stuff like that. The 2018 iPad does all of those things, and it does them well. Obviously nowhere near as well as on the iPad Pros, but you're saving half or more of your cash. The reality of it is that the iPad Pro is overkill for most people. It offers tons of features and incredible amounts of power, but most people would actually be better off saving some cash and going for the regular iPad. And trust me, they'll be extremely happy with it. Let's start with the display. Its 9.7 inch size is great for most uses, like reading an ebook, taking notes with the Apple Pencil, watching YouTube videos or shows on Netflix, and playing games. It's got better than 1080p resolution and it's using IPS technology, so it offers great viewing angles. The size of the iPad itself is also great for portability as well. The speakers also sound pretty decent and they're loud enough for most use cases. The only downside is that there are only speaker grills on the bottom of the iPad, so if you're watching something in landscape mode, it feels a bit weird for all the sound to come from one end instead of true stereo like on the iPad Pros. On the plus side, it's still packing a headphone jack, unlike the 2018 iPad Pro, so it's easy to plug in a pair of stereo headphones. In terms of performance, everything is pretty snappy, but definitely not as quick and smooth as the iPad Pro, especially the newer models which come with ProMotion 120Hz display technology. Going from one of those models to the 9.7 inch iPad's 60Hz display makes every animation seem a bit choppy, but you'll never notice it unless you've used an iPad Pro in the past. Compared to some Android tablets, however, the performance sticks around and doesn't start to slow down after a few months. Looking at raw performance, the iPad isn't that much slower than the 2017 iPad Pro, especially in single-core tasks. In multi-core, there's a noticeable jump with the Pro, but the 9.7 inch iPad's performance is still impressive for the low price. Graphics performance is where you'll see the biggest difference, with more than double the score on the 2017 10.5 inch Pro, and more than triple the score with the 2018 iPad. With that big of a difference, many people have asked if the 9.7 inch iPad can play games like Fortnite, so we tested it out. We noticed it limits graphics quality to medium and 30 frames per second, unlike the newer iPad Pros that can run at high settings at 60 frames per second. The nice thing is that you can connect a controller like the SteelSeries Nimbus. In game, there were some dropped frames and it wasn't perfectly smooth, but it was definitely playable. You could actually have an enjoyable experience playing Fortnite, so it should work pretty well for any other game out there. So now let's talk about the cameras. Honestly, the front-facing camera is horrible, so forget about taking selfies with it. The rear camera isn't too bad, but it's way behind any of the newer iPhones. Finally, Apple support is what makes an iPad this cheap really great. Not only that, but the 9.7 inch iPad also supports the Logitech Crayon, which the iPad Pro doesn't support. The drawing and note-taking experience is much better on the newer iPad Pro since they have ProMotion technology which reduces lag, along with the laminated display. But for the low price of $329, it still works great on the iPad. In terms of battery life, the iPad is pretty great, similar to the 10.5 inch iPad Pro, which lasts around 8 hours straight while watching a video with brightness set to a pretty high 80%. You'll definitely get more than this in your experience since you won't have the screen on all the time. Overall, the 9.7 inch iPad is the perfect iPad for almost everyone. It does just what you need it to do for a relatively cheap price. In fact, it's currently on sale for only $250 on Amazon. We'll have a link to that sale in the video description below. Yes, the Pro is much better in many ways, but it's actually overkill for a lot of people, especially the 2018 model. Now wait, don't buy the 9.7 inch iPad just yet. There have been some rumors of two iPads coming out soon. the iPad mini 5, and the 2019 iPad, and we're expecting them to be released at the end of next month. So if you can wait, I would highly recommend that you do so. We're not sure what changes will be made to the new model, but it's definitely going to be improved. This has been Vadim with MaxTech. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. See you in the next video.